All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the last part of our event today. If I can just, as you can see, I'm not alone on stage anymore. I feel like I have company now. As an only child, you know, it always plays on your mind. I'm going to ask our panel today to just introduce themselves briefly about where they're from, what they do, and we get the ball rolling. Who will start? Will you start?
Okay, I'm on. Hi, my name is Siphiwe. I am the founder of a company called Ilawu Hospitality Group. We basically own hotels and lodges, and we manage them. We operate throughout KZN, and also we own food service business that also operates throughout the province. We are just ready to expand beyond the borders of KZN come 2020, which is part of our 2020 straight plan. And I'm happy to be here, and I hope my story and whatever that I have to share can at least a little bit influence part of your journey in entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, no round of applause, guys.
Okay, my turn. Greetings, everyone. I'm Nomfundo Dzingwa. I'm here on behalf of the company that I own and I'm so much part of, DziMed. And from DziMed, it's actually a multidisciplinary medical practice. So we're specializing in this physiotherapy services, your normal GP medical stuff, but the main crux or the main baby of mine that keeps me going every morning is about the kidney failure prevention or kidney failure awareness. It started in 2010, the kidney specialty on its own, because I just saw that huge increase or prevalence of so many deaths related to renal failure or kidney failure. But then, unfortunately, those deaths, they could have been prevented. That's the most unfortunate part. I've worked in hospitals for so many years now, but I've just seen about 90% of all those deaths, they should have been prevented. Only if some of us colleagues in medical profession have gone a little bit further and did a little bit of investigation and raise more awareness. But unfortunately, the renal failure, it's such a silent condition. It's a silent killer disease. Silent meaning no symptoms, no sign. So any one of us can be in a stage 3 or stage 4 without even knowing, without even having any symptoms whatsoever. You're not sick, you're not coughing, nothing, no pains. You cannot even point at the back, hey, my right kidney is sore. You cannot do that. That's the most unfortunate part about it. So that's what DziMed is doing right now. We're trying to do as much to alleviate the problem, because we've identified the problem, and then let's try and prevent now while we're still waiting for government to do something. So in the meantime, let's do something and do the prevention and do the screenings. Okay, but that part was sort of a charity thing, a community involvement from the DziMed enterprise. So that's when there was this birth now of a charity foundation in NPC, Nomfundo Dzingwa Foundation, which deals mainly with prevention and those affected already with kidney failure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That actually just reminded me of the doctor once again when he said when you have the robot and it senses that we'll call the doctor, hey, you're about to have a heart attack, come in. Our next.
I'll have a story about that later on, about where the innovation industry is going. But my name is Scelo, and I'm happy to be here. I represent a company called VIP Concierge. It is a concierge business. Essentially what we do is we help busy people manage their day and thereby help them maximize what they do in their day. Your typical example of what we do is if you are attending this conference is going to be here the whole day, and you realize that you forgot your charger at home, and who's going to pick the charger and bring it here? So you just call us and say, look, I need to pick up a charger at home, I forgot it, and bring it here. So pretty much that's what we do. But that would be a once-off kind of thing. Ordinarily, we take care of, look, it's a niche service. We actually cater for very niche market, for people who are really, really busy, who really don't have time to do anything. So we just come in there and just help them, take away that stress of having to run around doing whatever it is that they want to do. So we come in and do that. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but what we're doing now is we have an app coming up at the end of the month, whereby our service is available on the app. Just like you have Uber app on your phone, you have our app on your phone, and if you need anyone to do anything for you, except you pick up where you get into Uber. Like if we don't need to get into a car, that's where you should use our services.
Thank you very much. I love asking this question. Yeah. Something said just do it, eh? I think it was Nike. I love asking these questions because as entrepreneurs and people in business, from startup to going into business, there are certain struggles that we all go through. Sometimes it's a different industry, but it's the same struggle or a similar struggle. And that's why I like asking my fellow entrepreneurs, what struggle that you went through, did you recover, and what did you do to recover? Because there might be someone in the room going through something similar and might not even have thought of that solution.
Thanks for the question from Director. First and foremost, I personally believe, and this is a disclaimer I normally make, being here on the stage, I know everyone who's an entrepreneur believes that they're an epitome of what other entrepreneurs aspire to be. However, each and every one, we are on our different journeys, and we are still learning while we are on those journeys. So the solutions that we had, or that I had previously, they may not apply to you, but my story has been, in the challenges that I came across as an entrepreneur, first and foremost, there were challenges of coming up with capital or finance or being funded. And what I realized soon, after going around and realizing that I'm not financeable, I cannot get finance because it was true that my business model was not proven as yet. So it was at my honor to go back to my own business and prove and use whatever resources that I have at my disposal to try and get my model to be up and going, and that the potential banker or the funder can see that, there are results. There's something that I have done to show that this business is now ready to be funded, so it's grown to our next stage. So it was definitely finance. And figuring that out and going back to my business model and refining it and proving it and getting it out there and let people bet my business by spending their money on my business, then I was able to prove my business that it was financeable.
Thank you so much. And you, my dear?
Besides that obvious one of which is finance. See, when you've got this business idea, I think one of the previous speakers mentioned that you can't not just wake up in the morning and maybe thumbs up and then have a business idea and then put it out on paper and have it booming. Basically, that's what happened to me. As much as it was a long process of identifying what was the main problem in my industry, the medical field that I work in, the main issue is people believing in what you want to do. That was my main, I would say it was a block. I work with, firstly, I only have a physiotherapy background. I did all these other courses on the side to support the degree itself, but when you speak to your colleagues and all those people up in the higher chain, and then I remember vividly one of the physicians, a lot of physicians actually, when I started inquiring so much about this kidney failure thingy, Why does it take so long for you guys to diagnose it? Why does a patient get admitted here on a Monday and then only to die on a Wednesday or a Thursday? And then that's when you find the cause of the death. It's something to do with that renal disease or something. So I would say the problem that I had to go through for years was people believing in me. And the only question I used to get, because I used to introduce this idea that I have, hey, I'm interested in this kidney renal therapy. Everyone like, why kidneys? I mean, you're just a physiotherapist. What does kidneys got to do with physios? That's when I learned now to be hardcore and respond in a question myself. Why not? Because there is always a link. That's when I managed to dot and link all those dots and get the missing point. But it's all about the belief. And if you always get that problem each and every morning you wake up and people do not, it always drains you. But yeah, it's all about the attitude, and it pays up.
100%. Thank you so much. And you, sir?
I think I'll combine the 2 points that have been mentioned. One is, we call it traction, where you have to prove what you've done before you get funding if you're looking for funding, number one. And then number two, you have to put that together with getting across your business idea to, especially if it's something new. With this concept, I really, I talked until I was blue in the face, trying to explain to people what it is that we do. Some people still don't get it. And then I realized after a while that, okay, maybe I'm not a marketer, or maybe I really need to work hard at maybe getting this thing to get off the ground so that people can see what it is I'm talking about. And only then I can go back and say, okay, now I have this thing. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And then I can go back to funders. But strangely enough, I haven't really been to funders. They still don't get what I do, but I'm fine with that. So everything that I do now is from my own pocket. But what I'm trying to get across here is there are business ideas that are new, that are out there in the market. They may not be here in South Africa because this business that I'm in now definitely is not a South African model. So that's why South Africans don't get it. But that did not stop me from pursuing it further. It just made me work harder to actually convince at least one person that this works. And then I have that one person who believes, and then that person tells other people that this thing works. And then, so my initial challenges were to get the message across as to what is it that we do. Now we have a couple of customers on board, and those customers actually help us explain to other people what we do through a word of mouth in terms of good service.
Oh, 100%. Thank you so much. Focusing on entrepreneurship, I'm a very firm believer of it's a self-job. It all starts here. It starts with the character. It starts with the mind and the soul and the being before you even get to the paper and the money and the business. Would you say that entrepreneurs are born, or can they be made and trained? You can literally brainwash yourself in being the most extinguished of the top entrepreneurs that they can be.
First and foremost, I think excellence. It's something that, if I may, let me just rephrase this. Excellence is something that you achieve even when you're the master of that craft, but you keep your eye on the ball. You remain disciplined in whatever that you're doing. I personally believe that I was not born an entrepreneur. I think the environment I found myself in growing up shaped me to what I am. There are a lot of theories about entrepreneurs being made or being born, but I truly believe that anyone can become an entrepreneur. In actual fact, anyone can become anything. We are the result of the environment that we are coming from, that's molded us. So hence, entrepreneurship, it's not monolithic, it's not static, it's something that is fluid. It keeps on moving. Hence, I said in my opening, solutions that I used in my previous problems, they may not apply to you, neither may apply to me trying to solve another problem now. So we need to continuously learn as entrepreneurs and to be obsessed on two things. And I normally say, as entrepreneurs, you need to be obsessed on understanding how things work, and you need to be obsessed on your ownership. And I think those are the two most important basic of being in control and being relevant in the current age.
100%. As a good friend of mine said, you know what, Siphiwe, so if anyone can be a good entrepreneur, then you can do it. All right. Anyone else that would like a take on that?
Okay, I got this. I think that it's a combination. I would safely say 60% of entrepreneurs, at least in South Africa, start working for somebody before they start a business. So that tells you that they're not born. It's a combination of, because what actually drives you away from your stable job is the urge of entrepreneurship within you to say, you know, I don't want to conform to the norms, to the rules. I want to create my own rules. And those are the things that entrepreneurs are actually driven by, because I can tell you for a fact that I used to work for Unilever with a very good salary, but I was still not happy. I wanted to create my own rules. And I did not get that feeling until I worked for a current number of years. And then only then I think, no, I said, this is not me, this is not for me. So it's a combination. Some are born because you'll get somebody who never really goes to school at all, but they'll have a fleet of 30 taxis, you know, the kind of thing. Then you have people like me who actually start working, and then there's a reason for me, go do something on their own, and then become successful equally. So it's a combination of both.
Thank you so much.
I do believe that as well. There's such a small percentage from my point of view, though, that are born with that skill. Yes. But from my own experience, from what I've seen, it's such an acquired skill. But for you to even acquire that skill, you have to be in that environment where you be an employee, like you just said. Exactly. Mina, I personally, I know myself. If you can have a look at my CV, I'm the most unemployable person ever. Because every time I'll knock into a door, okay, when I used to look for jobs, everyone would be like, I mean, why are you jumping from one hospital to another? 6 months is like a huge, long time for me. Because I cannot follow the norm. And I'm always so hyper. Every morning I have to go to work and do this and do that. But when everyone is in such a comfort zone, they don't see any challenges in front of them. I'm not that kind of a person. So that's when I thought, you know what, my rules are the highway. I just have to let go of all these things. I think I spoke to you earlier on, Ngcobo, here, that I used to work in Pietermaritzburg as well, 2005 at Edendale. I resigned after 8 months, and they refused to let me go. I just decided, you know what, hands down, I'll take leave without pay. That's how much I wanted to be in a private practice, that's how much I wanted to pursue my dreams. So the skills, yes, you learn them along the way, and I am still very much learning. Since 2007, I'm still learning right now. And there's a lot of tripping and falling, and as long as you fall on your knees, though, it's so easy to crawl and climb back up. I've just said it, I'm going to say it again, it's all about the attitude. I so much believe in, it's an attitude that determines someone's aptitude, or determines someone's latitude, not an aptitude. So you can have so many degrees, but if your attitude sucks, there's no life in entrepreneurship.
100%.
Can I just, if you allow? And another point that I think is important, you know, as much as such events are critical and important, and people need to be encouraged to attend as many as possible. However, we need to spend equally or even more time trying to find ourselves, other than trying to emulate other people. Because as I said, you know, no success is similar, no one success is similar to another person's success. So, exactly. So if you find yourself, then that is where you can truly sustain what you do, because you won't have to wake up every morning and try to be another person. You just live to be yourself because you now truly understand who you are and what speaks to you and what drives you. So that's what I just wanted to add on in that question.
Thank you so much. Focusing on imitation. Social media, I think it's an amazing platform. It's a cheap platform. It just uses your data, especially Instagram. And we all, you know what they say, what you focus on, you attract. For example, if you think it, you can dream it, then you can do it. If you have to act a certain way before you achieve it, you know? Would you say it's a good idea as an entrepreneur, which it can be if you do it strategically, but on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I can stand next to a Bentley and be like, my ride. It's not necessarily even my car, I think. You know, just putting it out there to the universe. But would you say that is a good idea, to put that image that you haven't maybe achieved yet out there, or do you stay as open and transparent as possible? Because I know sometimes people will give you the attention when they see you doing certain things, dressing a certain way, having a certain Rolex. No, this is not a Rolex, guys. But would you say that is a good idea, or would you say remaining transparent with your journey as an entrepreneur?
Faking it until you, until you get, what is the saying?
Fake it till you make it.
Make it. I used to say that. That's how I was brought up at home. I grew up in a township, guys. We're not so rich at all, but I only realized now with, hey, how much rich we were. Yeah, though. Not in those flashy things. I thought it was normal for every household out there to have a father of the house waking up every morning and opening up the butter for us and preparing breakfast. I thought everyone's family is doing that. That's how I grew up.
That's the norm.
Exactly. Yeah. But then one thing I learned when I went to varsity and when I started working, I was told, do not let hunger be written here. When I'm hungry, not everyone must know. That's when I learned that it was sort of my defense mechanism, sort of. The other person next door must not see how much I'm struggling right now. But now, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it got its limit. Okay. Faking it, it will backfire. So rather, because I mean, this might be a learning curve as well to others who are watching you, especially in the community. So many young kids are growing up, and then when they see you, which country, or I mean, which township you come from, which dusty township you come from, and look at you now, they've seen all your progress and stuff. That might be helping someone else. Use that as a platform as well. Yeah. So it might work maybe to attract and maybe to fit in that market that you want to crash in. And then obviously you have to identify your market as well. Yes. If I want to speak to those big guns, hey, I cannot just come in as then I will know exactly, depending on the market that you want to approach.
Then you might need that Zara dress, hey?
Exactly. Just pump it up a little bit.
Anyone else on that?
Yeah, I think social media, I think we live in an interesting time. And it's one platform that gives us a leverage or an opportunity to compete with well-established brands. And I think how we use it, it is so important, you know. And I think entrepreneurship has been hijacked by business people and people who happen to find themselves having a lot of money. You know, I always make this example that that's why we don't see many entrepreneurs emerging, because all we see out there are people who are driving beautiful cars, wearing particular clothes, going to particular events. And as aspiring entrepreneur, that's what we see as being a successful entrepreneur. Yes. Then with the little that we make in our business, then we try to emulate our role models and we want to look like them. And we all know that cash flow in a business, it's fundamental. You know, it's lifeblood of a business. So if you're going to take money of your business and fulfill a particular lifestyle that will portray you as being successful, then you're not going to get far. So my father always says, any fool can have money. So entrepreneurship is about solving problems. Entrepreneurship, you know, the only difference is just that you make people pay for those solutions. You know, so, but I mean, the world is abuzz with the fourth industrial revolution, robotics, AI, and that's the future. And I think in South Africa, we're still lagging behind in terms of even understanding how we can leverage and use social media to advance our businesses and to positively and to promote ourselves as brands, as individuals. So it's an important platform, and faking it up until you make it, I'll agree with you, it doesn't work in entrepreneurship. And you know, we tend to want to live to a particular level to prove our success. I mean, I was a finalist recently in South African Entrepreneur of the Year and a winner in Job Creator of the Year. I'm still driving my Polo. I own hotels. You know, we manage them. You know, I own a fleet of vehicles. But I have maintained the lifestyle that my business can afford to pay me. And people think I'm just fooling around. Honestly, my business cannot afford to pay me or to buy me a car more than a Polo, to buy me a car, a house in a upmarket suburbs. And I'm being truthful to myself. And the problem is with entrepreneurs, we tend to want to lie to ourselves so we can prove that you are successful. Yeah. You don't have to prove your success as an entrepreneur to people through materialistic things. So social media, it's a good influence. I think we are living in a very interesting age, interesting time, where we are able to get information through social media. We are able to promote our business with little money that you may have. So it is very important, but we are just using it incorrect, if I may put it that way.
I'm with you 100%. As someone said once, don't go broke trying to look rich. Yeah. Yes. And Vusi Timbagwa also, one of his videos, I think it was on Instagram, where he said, you know, he's an entrepreneur. He doesn't have time. He gets invited to events and look fabulous. He's working on his business and in his business. He doesn't have time to go to events with horses. And I know exactly what he was referring to. When I came back from abroad and I looked at my country once again, because then, you know, you get a better vision of what's going on the other side, I noticed that South Africa, I think because of what happened in the past, we're still in that we need help zone. It's like we teach that to ourselves, to our kids. That's what the message that our parents has also taught us. It's government must do something, the public sector, because, you know, it's big entities and things like that. So like we're doing this. It's like we want to hustle and be the proud entrepreneur, but we're doing this in a kind of way. And if I can actually just open our eyes, like what the doctor said earlier, with the things that's going on with science. It's happening everywhere. It's in Europe, it's in China, but not in South Africa, not in Africa. We're waiting for government, but we're looking at what the president is busy spending. Would you say that's what's holding us back? Would you say we actually can be, like we spoke about it earlier with innovation, it's like we're holding ourselves back from being great?
Yeah, one of the attributes that an entrepreneur needs to have is curiosity and, I don't know, a drive to want to know more. Mm-hmm. So in saying that, let me just ask the audience, by show of hands, who's ever heard of Singularity University? Singularity University. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now, Singularity University, it's a university in the US. What they're doing is they're offering, it's a university, mm-hmm. It's offering courses in fourth industrial revolution projects. What they're doing is there's an app mm-hmm. in your phone. Mm-hmm. You put your finger in there. Mm-hmm. It tells you your temperature. It tells you you're about to have flu. Before you have flu. Okay. It's an app. It's existing. Number one. Number two, there is in the space of health sector. What they're doing now is when you are born, you bank your umbilical cord. They don't throw it away. Later on in life, when you start getting cancer, they use that to treat you. So people in the next 40 years are expected to live beyond 100 easily. Wow. Easily. Because of that. The reason why they can't treat cancer is because you actually need your own body to treat cancer. But because you don't have it can't self-treat at a later age. So now when you're born, they store an umbilical cord. They use that. to treat cancer when you get old, which means that easily you reach 100. See, those are the things that an entrepreneur needs to be talking about.
Yes.
You need to know about those things. Those, you know, entrepreneur does that. And forget government. Forget government. Government is not in a space of innovation. You go to government now, I mean, there's a guy who was standing here, was talking about tenders. You know, with all due respect, I had my ears shut. Because government would never do, they will not do anything. I mean, I'm not saying there's something wrong about it. I'm saying if you're an entrepreneur, you really work beside the government because they are really not innovative. I can go to government now and say, I have this project. They will say, we don't have a budget. That's fine. Maybe they don't have a budget, but they don't even have an appetite for innovation to say, okay, fine, maybe next year we'll put it in the budget. That kind of thing. So I'm just saying an entrepreneur needs to be thinking along those lines, like far ahead to say, what is happening? You need to be that curious to say, what's going on around me? That kind of thing.
Thank you so much. Anyone else on innovation?
Yeah, and to my colleague here on government, I tend to differ. I think the government has a responsibility, and we must not immune government from that responsibility. If we don't actively force our government to create an environment where we can strive as young, in particular black entrepreneurs, there's very little that we can achieve, unfortunately, because government has the capacity and the resources to create an environment where we can strive as upcoming entrepreneurs. So I tend to differ with people who say you must forget government. Government is the main person who's supposed to create an environment, a conducive environment for us to even think of the innovation. You know, if our schooling systems is in this dire situation, how can we even begin to think about fourth industrial revolution? So our government, we need to make our government account. And this is the time when we young people in this country, we need to stand up for ourselves because this is our future. And if we don't, and we just say, we're just going to let government do whatever they're going to do, they are stealing from our future. By the time we grow up or we have started our business, we have no roads, no rails, no air transport to export those goods. So government is one of the first areas that we need to make sure that it's functioning correctly before anything else works. Unfortunately, that's the fact, and it has proven all over the world. You look at countries like China and many other developing countries. Look at Israel. Israel, through the wars that are going in there, but they are being innovative because government took a conscious decision to say, we're going to actively be involved in innovation. That's why Israel, after Harvard, after USA, they are the second most growing countries when it comes to innovation. So government has a responsibility, and we cannot say otherwise. So I'm very passionate about that, and I don't see why we should let government off the hook when they are controlling so much budget of our country and of our future for that matter.
Thank you so much.
I partially agree. Yes, we are ruled by government, and yes, we have to respect them. And you're 100% correct. It's their responsibility. But my main issue now, as entrepreneurs, as young people of SA, while we're waiting for government to wake up and be innovative, if when you see good, hey, your mind is going on the fast lane, and you saw that loophole, what's stopping you from grabbing it? And then the government will keep up with you. But yes, of course, your idea will never be heard unless you have the backup from them. We need them. I will talk about myself, for example. I started shouting in 2010. And I've had this on my piece of paper in my scrapbook. One day I will meet this MEC of SA, MEC of Health. KwaZulu-Natal, firstly. I've been dreaming about that. Then finally, I had to maneuver a patient who knows another person who knows another person, finally gave me the number of a MEC. And guess what? While I was not even expecting it, boom, MEC himself came to my practice as a patient. But then, that's when I saw that gap. Let me use this opportunity now. Let me pitch my idea about this kidney failure specifically. Why are we spending so many billions each and every year? We're approaching December now. We all know what's happening on the 1st of December, right? Everyone be wearing red. Why? It's AIDS, HIV, AIDS. I'm not saying that's not important, but who doesn't know about HIV in this time and age now? Why does our own government have to spend so much? Okay, yes, that's politics now. But I get so passionate as well about that. That was my question to him personally now. MEC, tell me, why do you spend so many billions? There's treatment now. The mother-to-child transfer, we're celebrating in, when was it, 2013, when it went down to 0.09 mother-to-child HIV transfer thingy. And we're almost there. But then let us shift now and be innovative enough. Let us look at other conditions that need our attention. So the bottom line is, if we are not loud enough, keep on knocking to the government, then eventually they will support you. But in the meantime, there's no reason, I don't see any need of us holding our hands and folding our arms. Okay, now I'm waiting for government to come and sponsor. I'm waiting for government to do this. On my last blog, I just had this nice title, New HIV in 5 years. New HIV in 5 years. You'll be shocked about the responses that I got. And every time I use social media, I use Twitter a lot, I make sure I always tag MEC. Every single time. Now he is aware of what I'm doing. Now I've made a stand. I think people now are aware of what Nomfundo Dzingwa Foundation is about. That hashtag prevent dialysis, yeah, I think that's where I met Bev as well. Social media. So the more noise we make, guys, we will get support from government. So we need them, we don't need them. But in the meantime, let's get the roll going, man.
Very much. Will we be doing Q&A, Bev? A few questions from the audience. Is there anyone that would like to ask any questions?